right? How is it like doing you're doing two different things. Promoting X-Men, obviously we're not talking about that, and doing Spoops. Like, how do you change your mindset? Like, is it the same thing, or is it like a different kind of
It's hard for me to change my mindset. I've almost signed Spoops books writing Gambit, which has happened with other characters where instead of writing Gizmo, I'll write Gambit or vice versa. So I do have to sort of switch gears. But it's crazy. I never thought in a million years I'd be doing, especially at this convention, because I came to the first one dressed like Spider-Man. So,
Nice.
And then the second one dressed like Gambit. And
Circle.
yeah, which is really wild. And me and my girlfriend at the time won the costume contest as Gambit and Rogue. So it's kind of, this is all very surreal.
That's cool. I was going to say, I did not realize, because my brain works differently. When I was reading and reviewing the book and I was looking you up, I was like, oh my God, I saw him at WonderCon. I saw you guys at WonderCon.
Oh, that's so
year,
funny.
The whole panel. I was like, oh my God, duh. Okay, quick connection. But that's like, you're on a kind of a cool run right now.
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like, your book was incredible. I loved
you.
it so much. I have a almost 3-year-old at home, and so we were flipping through it before I was actually got down to read it. She just immediately pointed out the ghosts and just just connected with it so much. But so why did you get into this? Why did you get into this specific thing?
I mean, I never in a million years thought I'd be doing voice acting. I wanted to write a book my whole life. And so writing novels is very hard. And I've been trying for a very long time. And then Spoops was something that I just started making them for me as little Halloween decorations, essentially, for my desk. And then one of the shows I was on, Voltron, kind of blew up, and people combed through my Instagram and saw these little sculptures that I did, and they were like, what are these? How do I get them? And I was like, I don't know. So I basically started making a small amount of them for people, and it kind of kept growing and growing and growing. And then it got to a point where so many people were asking me about it that it started to develop a lore. And one of my friends was like, you have to turn this into a book or something. And I was like, this is an awesome excuse to, I love writing, I love making things. And so it was just a great opportunity to be like, sure, I could turn this into a book. And it took 6 years. Yeah, it was the writing itself was pretty quick. It was the finding a publisher during the pandemic and all that stuff. And also, apparently people don't want Dr. Seuss style books or old-fashioned style books, so it took a while to be like, no, this is a thing I'm sure someone wants. But yeah, I've always, writing is something I'm extremely passionate about, and hopefully not in that actory way where where an actor's like, I've always wanted to write a book. It's something I genuinely would just lock my door as a kid and just be typing away.
Yeah, that's dope.
But yeah.
I feel that. Wait, so you said it took you 6 years. When you originally wrote it, is it the same iteration, or did it change completely over the years by the time you got it published?
It was, so that's the funny thing is the core story was basically the same for the first few months. It started off where I was just trying to figure out do I just talk about the spoops? What is the vibe of the book? What's the through line? And it dawned on me pretty early that it should be about, one of my biggest fears as a kid was missing Halloween. And so for whatever reason, and so I was like, oh, that should kind of be the core of it, is a kid who can't celebrate Halloween, and then the spoops help them figure out, help them celebrate Halloween in some capacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, the original version was mostly me being like, oh, what if it's just about one little spoop or a couple spoops? And I realized that would be a very, very simple book, and I didn't want to do something simple. It would be kind of like a Woodstock comic is how I picture it, just like a little bird flying around, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is cute, and I'm not opposed to that, but for the first thing, I was like, I want to do something heftier. Thank you.
So the spoops came first, and then
Yes.
the story followed. Okay, that's
Which is
interesting.
an interesting way to do anything,
Yeah.
where they were because the characters had already started to develop as the figurines, and then I'd get messages from parents that were just like, hey, my kids have these, what are they? And I'd be like, I don't know, the little spirits of Halloween, and then I would get, people would start to send me photos too of them doing an elf on the shelf with the spoops, and it happened in multiple places where it wasn't one person communicating with it. It's like the pyramids, how they started popping up in multiple countries. Just like the pyramids. But it started to take on a life of its own that was sort of out of my hands in a good way.
Yeah.
And so I just started playing with okay, each one has its own little story and background, and that kind of, again, developed into the book.
The spoops were inevitable, I bet.
Yes, I hope so.
So is Holly you?
Oh, for sure.
Oh,
yeah.
Tell me more about her.
So, I mean, God, it's funny, as a kid, I always related more to characters like Matilda or Danny from Hocus Pocus or Coraline. And I always say, like, I'm a little goth girl at heart. And as a kid, my friends were mostly girls that I grew up with, and I could relate more to that. So when I started writing this, it was only natural. I was like, yeah, it's a little girl who wants to celebrate Halloween. And also the iconography of just a little girl in a witch costume is someone asked me, like, if it's you, why is it not a little boy? And I was like, boys aren't as iconic. What would a boy character be wearing on the cover? Like a skeleton costume? It doesn't have the same punch. But I've always had a soft spot for those sort of like heroic girl characters from like Roald Dahl and stuff. Those are just some of my favorite pieces of media.
I love that. So are you a parent or no? Because
I'm not a parent, no.
You capture parental anxiety pretty well. Because like I was reading and I was like, damn, I get it. Like when you want to protect your kid from whatever you think is like dangerous, but like it's like sometimes you hold on a little too tight, and I feel like her parents, the Hollowells, were like very much like that, and I appreciated that the way that you wrote that, because
thank you.
It's hard like to be a parent. So where did you pull that from? Or just your parents? Were your parents like that?
Yeah, I mean, so it was me kind of wishing this is what my parents. If I could send a message to my parents, that was kind of it. Is the feeling of like I wish they had. Whoa! A sign just fell down.
That went down in slow motion.
Yeah, I know. I wasn't sure it was happening. You're gonna have to cut all this out.
All good.
For those listening, a sign just fell. But yeah, I mean, it was basically me saying, this is how I wish my parents in many ways had treated me, and I've had those conversations with them since, but just the idea of being empathetic and understanding that like these passions and obsessions of mine are something that I want to share with them and not feel shamed about and or isolated from them or the world because I'm obsessed with something. And as someone who's just very ADHD and becomes obsessed very passionately, very quickly, it was just I don't know, I mean, I was hoping to somehow maybe infiltrate a little bit and being like, if you don't think this way, maybe consider this. But it was from the perspective I guess, for what I wished my parents could do. They've gotten better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely coming from the child's perspective of how can I teach them to teach me.
Yeah. I relate to that a lot. I grew up, I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so we didn't celebrate anything. Holidays. But like secret, I would like, in secret, like dress up in Halloween costumes. I loved Halloween. I still love Halloween. So like I get that so much. I'm like, oh my God, it's like a secret thing. And I feel like that translated really well in the book.
Well, thank you.
Like the another thing you did really well is, and I mentioned this in my review, she didn't break the rules. Like
that was something I tried really hard to do.
So good. Yeah, just talk to me about that.
So it's funny. Well, I'm delicate about how I talk about this, but like when I made the parents dentist, there weren't too many options that would be kids book friendly for why she wasn't allowed to celebrate. Because I do have friends that have like had, very religious parents and Halloween is off the table. You can't do that in a kid's book. So I had to find a way of skirting around it that was child friendly, but that the idea of because I didn't want her to break the rules. I didn't want this because I know parents are going to be reading this, kids are going to be reading this, and if there's a sense that she's somehow broken the rules, it creates this, she did something bad. And in this case, it's like, okay, she stays on the property, she doesn't give out candy, like she does, it fits within the confines of what she's allowed to do and what her parents allow, the parameters. But sorry, what was the question? My brain, I got distracted.
That's right. I was going to say, like, when you, how do you find like the balance of like trying to make sure that the kid still has fun, but the parents, like you just said, like parents are going to be reading with their kids, but the kids also want to be like, this is like, kids want to be kids test limits. Right. Parents are trying to make sure that they're safe in that. So how do you find the balance as a writer to appeal to both the kid and the parent?
I don't know. It was hard. So it took 6 years. It's funny, like the book was pretty much written throughout the entire publishing process. And then right at the end, one of the things that I adjusted was, the idea that spoilers, is that they carve pumpkins together at the end. Like there was this turn where I was like, oh, the SPOOPS should drop, because originally it was just like, hey, next year we'll celebrate, we're really sorry. And I was like, it felt wrong and I couldn't figure out what would be right. Yeah. So then the SPOOPS dropping off pumpkins for them being like, we could carve right now, was something I was like, oh good, that puts it to rest, and it fits within their interests. Yeah. And that was the thing that for the character, she's trying to tell them that all the things that you don't like about her, all the things you're afraid of, is not what this is about. And so her showing them that it's like you could be creative and have fun and do it within your limits and your parameters, that's what it's about, is expressing yourself in your way. Because that's what I love and obsessed with Halloween over, is you could do it however you want. And like to how you decorate your yard, to how you dress up, to how you could just, you know, I have friends that sit and just watch spooky movies on Halloween night, or people that go out trick-or-treating that are well into their adulthood and giant, you know, T-Rex costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like whatever's friendly and feels right to you, I think is a perfectly valid way to celebrate.
Yes.
Unlike Christmas, where you're forced to hang out with your weird uncles.
I'm gonna ask about the other holidays in a second, but I want to get into the art. Lori, you said the spooks came first. Did you draw the spooks first, or was did you and Lori collaborate? How did they get to from
This
there?
is what's interesting. So it's I came up with the spooks long before Lori was involved,
Yeah.
but early on I sent the spoops as, you know, the figurines to Lori and said, "Hey, I'm writing this book. Would you be interested?" And she was like, "I've never done a book before, but sure." So I was like, okay. So I sent her the spoops, and I had her, we made a deal where she made some concept art. I always think of like when George Lucas pitched Star Wars, he made like 3 big concept arts.
Yes.
And so that's basically what we did, and I attached those to the pitch. And so when I went around, I was like, this is the artist. I was like, I will not do it without this artist.
Yes.
So, which was tough, because a lot of people were like, we have our own people, and I was like, I don't care.
Like this.
Because I don't know anyone contemporarily who does art like her.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminded me of like the style of it reminded me a little bit of Shel Silverstein, but not quite. Like
Right.
the way the use of the colors, and like it looks so colorful without having. There's only like 3 colors in this. 2 colors.
Which was also a fight. We were thankful that IDW and stuff were all open to doing that. But yeah, that was the thing where I was like, I want a limited color palette like Dr. Seuss and Little Bear and like some of those older books that I grew up with. And it was also, it was weird how much people fought back against that. Like, everyone kept telling me, like, no one's going to want a book that looks old-fashioned. And it's funny because it's not the biggest book of the world currently, but that was the thing everyone that responds to it, that's one of the things they talk about. They're like, oh my God, it feels like the books from my childhood. And I'm like, that's what I was trying to do.
It does. It
it's
really
like
does.
fit it on a shelf back in the 80s or 90s and just be like, here, this existed long before it was made. Is the hope.
The goal. I think you captured that.
Thank
'cause
you.
As soon as I opened it, I was like, I wish I would have read this as a kid.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. It was it's a battle to fight for those kinds of things, because everyone wants it to look kind of like the Flash animation style that's really popular now, or like there's a specific style that's really popular in children's picture books that I do not like.
I respect that. Are you going to be doing anything else? Are you going to explore other holidays, or is it just is it specific, or are you going back into the spooks first and doing more in the spooks?
I hope to do more spoops. I hope to do more spoops stuff specifically. I don't, because they're the little spirits of Halloween. I don't necessarily want to do like they invade Christmas. I mean, who knows? If
Nightmare Before Christmas type style. Yeah.
If I come up with the right idea or something really cool, sparks maybe, but like. For me, it's specifically for Halloween people, and spooky stuff I'm happy to explore. Like maybe they go to an old castle in Scotland. I'd be cool with that. But it's one of the things people ask me the most with spooks is like, okay, Christmas and Easter, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do 4th of July spooks. It's weird.
I was like, we don't need an Uncle Spam spook. You know?
No, yeah, I don't. I mean, also, I'm not. There's a world in which I would be okay with like what is it, Summerween and things. I'm like, okay, maybe.
That'd be cute.
But I'm so diehard about I love Halloween. It's one of my biggest obsessions. So if I can keep it to that, I would love to. But we'll see. The thing is also, it's so hard to get a book published that eventually, if they're like, hey, we found an idea that works, and I'd be like, okay, here we go. But I do want to keep it in Halloween as much as possible.
Absolutely, nice. And I want to ask one more thing, a couple things actually. There was something in the book that I loved. How much did you tell Lori to draw? Because there's like little Ghostface killer kid and like
that was her. The Ghostface thing.
Good.
There was one little Indiana Jones that it was originally like a spaceman or something. And I'm like, can you turn that into? And I sent her Doug from the show Doug.
Yeah.
I sent him as Race Canyon, and I said, can you make this kid this? And so it's kind of like a bad homemade Indiana Jones, which I did a lot as a kid. But it's funny because we would basically discuss layout where I would draw. So, you asked me this earlier and I didn't fully respond, but I sent her the SPOOPS statues, then she drew some, and then I would go back and I would give her basically like turnarounds like you would do in animation, where like this is what they look like from the side, this is what they look like from the front, like as my drawings. And so she used those as a base, and then she was very gracious in letting me Photoshop things and then being like, can you fix this back or this eye or this whatever? Because they've lived in my head for so long, and then she's coming in and trying to translate, and she did a brilliant job. But it took a lot of back and forth because there's an internal system that they operate on and how I sculpt them and how they move that I was already dealing with. And so, there was a lot of back and forth about how they're shaped and stuff. But with the book, I gave her a page-by-page breakdown with like images from films, and I would do basically like storyboards and stuff. And then, but they were really, really loose. There's so many things in there that I'm still discovering where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know she drew that in the background. So like the decorations and stuff, she put like little Easter eggs everywhere, and it's phenomenal.
She really did a phenomenal job. This page, there's like so many.
There's so much to look at, and
so much to look at.
I'm sure there's so many things that I've missed that for as much blank space as there is, there's still things in there that I'm like, oh, I didn't know that character was there, and she's brilliant.
Yeah, she's incredible, and I love her outfit. I love her little witch outfit. Like you said, you're a little goth girl at heart.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So much, like that's so great. SPOOPS. One more question about SPOOPS. You are obviously there's like merch now. Is it like a thing? Are you doing things?
I hope. I'm trying. I mean, there's some stuff at Hot Topic, and I'm gunning for it if it'll happen, because it's also like because I've been making SPOOPS on my own, and it is overwhelming. Like it is far, far, far more work than I am capable of doing, but I push through it anyway because people are excited. So, I would love to have SPOOPS plushies and toys and stuff that I didn't have to specifically hand make and destroy my apartment.
It's cool that you make those. Like out of what?
Resin. I mean, I sculpt them in clay and then cast them in resin, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them I've made. I know it's in like, I've probably made like 9,000 or 10,000 on my own, and that sounds insane because it is. And it's just me sitting there for months and months just painting them by hand. And
How long does it take you to make just one?
I don't know. I've thought about calculating how much it would, but the thing is I do it in like a round robin thing where like, okay, I'll do all the eyes, and then I'll go and do all the noses, then I'll go do it. So it's just this constant rotation, and then I'll move on to the next spoop. But that's why it takes me like 6 months, and although I have a feeling this year it might take me much longer, because there's quite a bit more this year.
Dang, that's so cool. You're an artist, like for real. You're just like, I'm an actor, I'm a writer.
Oh, thank you.
That's like very impressive. Like,
thank you. I feel like I'm just brute forcing my way through things. So
sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah.
The opportunity is there for you to take it, right? Like that's incredible. So what's next for you besides books? Whatever. What do you got going on next?
I would love to do more SPOOPS stuff. I don't know. I haven't written anything. But oh God, I don't know. SPOOPS.
Yeah.
Hopefully more SPOOPS stuff, and also I've got a bunch of shows and things that I can't talk about.
Of course.
Maybe more X-Men, but I don't know if I'll be involved. We'll see.
Considering.
Considering what's going on, I would love to be involved. We'll see.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just hoping to do more SPOOPS stuff and helping them grow.
Nice.
Or hatch. Yeah.
Hatch, that's so cute. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to end the recording here. I appreciate you